tomorrow all the things were gone. I'd worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife. And thank my lucky stars to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Yeah. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Yeah, I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
All right, we're going to be discussing the trial, which is set up by the Democrats. As you can see, you will see that the judge himself has also donated money to the Biden Foundation, so we know it's all set up and all hoax. The corruption goes deep. Here we go.
The Democrats finally got Trump. It is official, Trump is now a convicted felon. On Friday, Donald Trump was sentenced in New York State Court for 34 counts of falsifying business records. We're going to cover what happened and why it's important. This is a big problem for Trump. Let me just give you a practical example. When you apply for a job with the federal government, in order for you to receive a top secret security clearance, you cannot be a felon. Now we're going to have a president who's in charge of determining security clearance, and he himself is a felon. How can he now refuse to hire people for being a felon when he himself is a felon? That's not the only problem. If anyone has traveled internationally, you know that other countries inspect your passport. Well, a lot of countries do not allow felons to enter their country. Specifically, Canada and Mexico have this restriction. I would not be surprised if this was used to ban Donald Trump from traveling to Canada. How is he supposed to be the leader of the free world if there's a whole list of countries he cannot even travel to? That's not the only problem. I'm sure that you are aware that felons cannot own firearms. So if Donald Trump owns any guns, he has to get rid of them. Now, he will have Secret Service protection, but with all the attempts on Donald Trump's life, he is someone who should have the ability to own a gun to protect himself. This sentence puts his life more at risk. I do not understand why the Democrats do not seem to care about this. I think it's important to go over the facts in this case so that everyone is crystal clear on what happened here. These are the facts. The judge in the case is someone named Judge Juan Merchan. Let's talk about him because there's a lot that is not getting reported in the mainstream media. First, did you know that he is Colombian? He was born in Colombia and moved to New York when he was 6 years old. Second, he's not a real judge. He's an acting justice. Normally, judges in New York are appointed by the governor or the mayor, but a court administrator can also appoint people as an acting justice to fill vacancies. According to this complaint filed by New York Representative Elise Stefanik, Juan Merchan is only an acting justice. In the complaint, she asks for an investigation into Juan Merchan. She points out that this one acting justice is not only presiding over the case against Donald Trump, he's overseeing the case against Donald Trump's CFO and the case against Steve Bannon. Now, cases are supposed to be assigned to judges randomly to prevent bias. How did this one acting
Yeah, this is kind of biased. It's been biased for a while. It's set up by the Democrats to try to support Trump. And you can also think about the California fires too. That governor there is Democratic. It's all kinds of corruption.
judge managed to get all the cases related to Donald Trump? It would be almost statistically impossible for this to happen randomly. Elise Stefanik wants an investigation. Next, Juan Merchan has donated to Joe Biden's campaign. Here are screenshots of 3 donations to Joe Biden. Now, they are all for small dollar amounts, but it is unusual for a judge to donate any amount because it shows political bias. Now he is overseeing this case against Trump that clearly has political ramifications, and we all know what side he is on. Also, Juan Merchan's daughter, Lauren Merchan, works for the Democrat Party. Just so you understand who these people are, this is a tweet from Lauren Merchan's Twitter account. When I talk about my job, I sometimes say that I'm trying to save the world. I got that from him. This is my dad with his parents and 4 sisters on 77th Street off 31st Avenue in Jackson Heights. Imagine this immigrant from Colombia, now a Supreme Court justice in the greatest city in the world. I, for one, will continue to show gratitude by serving the public and by doing my part to preserve that which is good and special and to improve upon that which is in need of repair. The header image from her Twitter profile was Donald Trump behind bars. So when she talks about what is good and special, she's talking about her opinion. She decides what is good and special. These people are on a mission to put Donald Trump in prison. Lauren Merchan runs an organization called Authentic Campaigns, Inc., which has done political consulting. She raised $20 million in donations for Adam Schiff. She raised $73.6 million for the Senate Majority PAC. For those donations, Adam Schiff paid Authentic $10 million, and the Senate Majority PAC paid $15 million. But it's not just them. Here's a list of clients for Authentic. Almost every major Democrat candidate and organization is giving this person money. Lauren Merchan is becoming
This one should be automatically in investigation already.
a multimillionaire because she is working for the Democrats. You should also know that Lauren Merchant worked for the Kamala Harris 2020 presidential campaign as the director of digital persuasion. This is interesting because 4 years later, in the 2024 presidential campaign, Joe Biden was hosting his website on Amazon Web Services. As soon as Joe Biden stepped down and Kamala Harris became the Democrat presidential nominee, within days, she paid Authentic Campaigns Inc. for web hosting services. Here's a list of bank transactions showing that Kamala Harris
Oh, wow. This could be evidence in a lot of ways. I definitely would use this in a trial against that false judge, of course.
paid Authentic over $7 million. I want to make sure you understand this. One of Kamala's first actions as a presidential nominee was to hire Judge Juan Merchant's daughter, the same judge presiding over the trial of her political opponent. Don't you
Can you say conspiracy theory?
think this is a little fishy? This seems extremely fishy to me. Now, of course, Donald Trump complained about all of this during his trial because he should have the right to a judge that is not biased. But then the judge issued a gag order against Trump to keep him from talking about the case. Am I the only person who thinks this all sounds unfair? In my opinion, it seems like there's evidence of bribery going on by the Democrats. What I don't understand is why the mainstream media is not reporting on any of these issues. Let me show you how the news is talking about Judge Merchant.
As you've noted, with respect to Judge Merchant, I mean, I am like now, I have like a man crush on him. He is such a great judge that it's hard to see that the jurors wouldn't have the same impression. I mean, you just keep on thinking, if you looked in a dictionary for like judicial temperament, that's what you get.
What are they talking about? Why aren't any of these reporters asking any of these really obvious questions about this judge's credibility? Am
Good point.
I crazy? Answer me in the comments. Am I crazy to think that the news coverage we are getting is a bunch of garbage? Whatever happened to reporting on the facts? Let's look at the facts in this case. Donald Trump was arrested in New York on accusations that he paid hush money to Stormy Daniels, an allegation that Donald Trump has always denied. By the way, it's not illegal to pay hush money. So what did they charge him with? Here is the indictment. He was charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. One count is for writing the check, one count is for creating an invoice, one count is for making the accounting entry. So there are all these separate paperwork violations, and they add up to 34 counts. Normally, falsifying business records is a misdemeanor. It's a pretty minor crime. However, each count on this list is labeled as a felony violating New York Law 175.10. This law says that the normal misdemeanor can be charged as a felony if you are falsifying business records with an intent to commit another crime. So there has to be an actual crime for this misdemeanor to be a felony. The indictment never identifies what the crime is. So Donald Trump had to prepare for trial without ever knowing what crime he was being accused of. Each count carries a possible sentence of 4 years in prison. For all 34 counts, Trump could have been sentenced to 136 years in prison. Keep in mind that this is the first criminal trial ever held for a former president. During the trial, the prosecution suggested 3 separate theories of different crimes that Trump may have committed: federal election campaign violations, falsification of other business records, and violating tax laws. You heard that right. One of the choices was that the misdemeanor of falsifying business records becomes a felony because he falsified other business records. The prosecutors did not prove any of these other crimes. Trump was not even charged with these other crimes. This was just a legal theory they put forward during the case. To this day, Donald Trump has no idea what crime he was supposed to have committed. Then Judge Juan Merchan calls in the jury. These are the instructions he gave to the jury. Pay attention to this, because I think this may be the greatest travesty in the history of the American judicial system. He says, although you must conclude unanimously that the defendant conspired to promote or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means, you need not be unanimous as to what those unlawful means were. So he is saying that the jury must start with the assumption that Donald Trump committed one of those 3 crimes that were proposed. But the jury does not even have to agree on which crime he committed. It's no surprise that the jury found Donald Trump guilty on all counts. Of course they did, because the judge said they had to start by assuming that Trump was guilty of some undefined crime. Trump never had the opportunity to defend himself against that accusation or even know what the crime was. The most frustrating thing about this whole case is there is a letter signed by Stormy Daniels denying the hush money. She says, the fact of the matter is that each party to this alleged affair denied its existence in 2006, 2011, 2016, 2017, and now again in 2018. I'm not denying this affair because I was paid hush money, as has been reported in overseas-owned tabloids. I'm denying this affair because it never happened. That seems pretty clear to me. So Stormy Daniels says nothing happened. Donald Trump says nothing happened. Why are we even here? Now, to be fair, Stormy Daniels has reversed her testimony and says that she really did not mean what she said in that letter. Now she thinks Donald Trump should pay. How convenient. I, for one, think she sounds like a liar. On Friday, Donald Trump was finally sentenced. The judge declared him guilty, but gave him no penalty. No jail time and no probation. The judge wasn't able to assign penalties because Trump is about to take office, but it is now official. Trump is now a convicted felon. What is so crazy to me about this decision is if there was no punishment, why didn't they just dismiss the case? It's because they wanted to get Trump. It has nothing to do with logic.
Now, Trump can go to another court and have them dismiss all of that from another judge, a real judge, easily. And I still think they should be looking into taking that one judge, putting him in the court for his crimes and contempt of court claims. When you lie in the courts and stuff like that, and falsify documents and stuff like that, they're falsifying documents by doing this. So basically, he should be facing the judge. That's my opinion on that one.
Logic or fairness or the evidence, they wanted to get Trump. My biggest takeaway from this case is that we have lawfare going on in this country. This case obviously seems corrupt. This judge obviously seems crooked. This case never would have been brought against anyone else except for Trump. That is because the Democrats were using the courts to attack their political enemies. If you remember, this was one of 4 criminal cases against Donald Trump. This case, the Stormy Daniels case in New York, the classified documents case in Florida, the election rigging case in Georgia, and the January 6th case in D.C. All of these cases accused Donald Trump of being a criminal, but for ridiculous made-up charges. All the other cases fell apart. The Florida case was completely dismissed. The Georgia case, the district attorney, Fani Willis, was removed for corruption, and the January 6th case was dropped because the Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump had presidential immunity and because they could not bring the case to trial before the election. The only case that made it to trial was this case in New York, and only because the judge performed logical cartwheels to make it happen. It seems to me like there is evidence that all 4 cases were coordinated by the Joe Biden White House to attack his political opponent. This is lawfare, and it is extremely destabilizing for a society. Our country cannot function unless our court system is fair and works for everyone, not just who is in political power. We need to make this stop. And the only way we were going to make it stop is if we put someone in jail. Remember, Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago was raided by the FBI. A sitting president raided the home of his political rival. Someone should go to prison for that. If it's not Joe Biden, it should be someone who was involved in this conspiracy to use the courts to attack Trump. Whether it was the Attorney General Merrick Garland, the head of the FBI Christopher Wray, the Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, the Attorney General of New York Letitia James, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis, or any of the other people involved. And yes,
I think every one of them should go.
the list should also include Judge Juan Merchan and his daughter, Lauren Merchan. Personally, I say throw them all in prison because we need to send a message that lawfare cannot be tolerated in America. There is actually a federal law to prevent this. It is called Section 241. It was originally passed after the Civil War because people were trying to stop black people from participating in the political process. Section 241 says that someone is guilty of a crime if two or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured to him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same. Doesn't that sound exactly what happened to Donald Trump? Two or more persons tried to stop him from exercising his right to run for president. All these people worked in a conspiracy together and violated Section 241. This is punishable by 10 years in prison. The reason I even know about this law is because Section 241 is what Jack Smith charged Donald Trump with violating in the January 6 case. They said that Trump coordinated January 6 as a conspiracy to violate people's rights under Section 241. That is a ridiculous accusation for Trump, who said to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Well, it turns out that they were accusing Trump of committing a crime that they themselves were doing. Let me show you why I think justice is coming for Judge Merchan. Here's an interview by Kash Patel, who Trump has nominated to be the next director of the FBI. In this interview, he raises some interesting questions, and I think the American people should demand the answers.
Where are the subpoenas for the judge in this case? And I just put up a post, and I'm sure people are going to say, oh, it's controversial. Tampering with the jury is illegal in every state and every federal jurisdiction across this land. If you intentionally give a jury unlawful guidance, you're tampering with the jury to seek a political outcome. Where are the subpoenas for the judge in this case for his daughter's money bin that she has created to the tune of tens of millions of dollars? And oh, by the way, this judge is married to a lady who worked for Letitia James herself. So where are the House Republicans sending these subpoenas, finding out how much of our taxpayer money was being utilized? Yes, state prosecutors use federal taxpayer dollars as well. And I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one witness testify. What happens if these House Republicans just would send Judge Merchan a subpoena? What is he going to do? Not show up?
Here's the thing.
The new FBI guy, he's going to be doing his job right. So I think that judge's going to see some jail time. I hope he does. And hopefully everything he's done can be undone on the Trump trial to make him back an unfelon. And we get the people that actually caused all this behind bars, even if it includes the vice president now and Joe Biden. I mean, somebody needs to pay for it, and that is true. They all caused all this mess, and basically it's been caused for 4 years. I mean, our nation's been tore up. Think about it. If you go into a store, you wreak havoc, and you tear up everything, you have to pay for it, right? That's basically what this is. I mean, you're basically coming people come to the country and demolish it and destroy it. Think about the fires in California. It could have been prevented if they had more water. Oh yeah, they have more water. They've been trying to tell them to release the water up in the mountains or whatever, or the snow and the rain, and release that water and let it come down. But no, that governor didn't want to do that. He's too greedy, and so you see what's happening in LA. I mean, I'm going to cover it in another segment one day, but here we go. We'll finish the rest of this episode 5 of Watch the World Fade Away, season 2.
The government is within its rights to try this case in any location the crime took place. I, for one, think the trial should be held in Florida, the site of the raid on Donald Trump's home. Leave a comment down below if you think that Judge Juan Merchan should stand trial in Florida for his crimes. We will not know the full amount of money that Juan Merchan's family made during Trump's trial until we subpoena their accounting and bank records. We need this investigation to fully understand what happened. Let me also say, this is not about revenge. This is about holding people accountable. Unlike what happened to Trump, here we have actual evidence of crimes. It is really important that we stop lawfare from happening in America. If we don't put someone in prison for this, it will happen again and again. We will have these ridiculous court cases every 4 years whenever someone runs for president. That's not right. It should be the people's vote that gets to decide who can be president, not a crooked judge from Colombia. We need to carefully and fairly prosecute these people to make sure that our justice system stands for truth, justice, and the American way. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think that Donald Trump was guilty, or was the trial rigged against him? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. If you find my videos helpful, consider signing up to be a monthly member on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. A lot of my videos have gotten censored and shadow banned. For $6 a month, your support helps me to keep sharing the truth. Thank you to all the members who have signed up. I appreciate your support. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.